Yeah, I think your test.
Alright, cool. Okay, guys, so this game right here is the oldest game that we have.
Actually, I'm going to change one setting, pardon me, so it's more focused on your voice.
Okay. So this game here, guys, this is the oldest game that we have here. It is a 1968 Gottlieb Funland. This game is rated 7.7 by the Internet Pinball Database. And it's the only one that we have that's what they call a wedge head, because the head is shaped like a wedge. Alright, so the problem we had with this game, it wasn't working when we first got it. There's a couple of things that you need to know about EMs, okay, especially if you're going to try to start working on one that's broke. First of all, if you get a broke one, they're not too hard to fix, but you got to take patience. There's a couple of things that needs to happen before an EM will start, and I'm going to show you the insides. These coin doors are usually a huge problem. There's a little kind of a wire switch in here that gives the game credits, and sometimes people will just get in there and in a hurry they'll jam that thing down, and then it's constantly trying to add a credit, so that's not good. So make sure that inside your coin doors those things move freely. That's where you actually drop a quarter in, it hits that thing, it gives you a credit. Alright, now on these kind, there's a lock bar, which is right here. I've already took off the lock bar, so you got to have this down. Then inside of here, can't open it, right? There's a little lever that you got to pull out. I don't know if you can see it or not, but I have to pull this lever to unlatch the playfield to lift it. Now, also, this is important. When you have an EM, you have to keep this thing all the way in. Don't start pulling it towards yourself until it's fully up. You can cause a little bit of damage to the inside unknowingly, and then that's the end of it. You're going to have a lot more work. So keep it as far forward as you can before you open it, just like this. Once you can visually inspect it and see, hey Pinbot, how you doing? Once you can inspect it visually and see that you can pull it forward, just like this. All right. Okay. So you're gonna get it set just nice and just pretty. All right. Now there's a couple of things in here that you need to recognize. This is a reset bar. Gottlieb changed these up in 71. They went to a different system of relays. And then this right here is another one of those reset banks. This right here is your main thing. This is called a score motor. And what it does is it turns around and it starts activating all these switches. Now, if all these switches aren't doing what they're supposed to do, you're going to have a game that does not work. So, if you can imagine, you've got, well, probably at least 400, 500, 600 switches in here, and you got to look at those. Just look at them and make sure that they're making contact and that everything's moving freely. Oh yeah.
Hot Guacamole says EM machine wiring is a nightmare.
It is. You are right, Guacamole. It is a nightmare, but one thing that can be very helpful is something that's called a schematic. Now, this is the schematic for Funland. And it actually shows every single wire, where it comes from. This is the plug that goes into the wall. From the plug that goes... I see you too. From the plug that goes into the wall, it goes into this fuse, which goes here, which goes here, which goes here, which goes there, which goes to your main transformer, the power. That's back there. Then you can follow the transformer power up this... Oh, we got a white wire, and it goes to a 15 amp playboard fuse. Oh, look, there's a 15 amp playboard fuse right there. So if you have the problem with the EM and it doesn't just fire right up, first thing you need to check for is the fuses. There's fuses here, fuses here, fuses here. Make sure that all those fuses are in and that they're not blown. Test them with a multimeter if you can. If not, just replace the fuses with the correct ones from your schematic. If you are in doubt, always go with a lower fuse. Don't ever put a higher fuse in there. You can cook something. Alright, so you want to make sure everything in here is functioning and working properly. Yep, that looks good. That's the ball count. So I'm going to actually set the ball count to 0 because this game apparently thought it was on game 5 when it got turned off. So when you turn it on, it's going to think it's in the middle of a game again. Now the other really important thing about these is you can read what each of these relays does. For instance, this is the start relay. You hit that, it should start the game. Hopefully this thing kicks on when you push the start button. Now like I said, this game is in the middle of a repair, which means I haven't fully got it fixed yet. However, I'm going to show you what progress I've made. So you walk it up like that. Keep it all the way up. Watch it go in nice and smooth like that. All right, perfect. I'm actually not going to put this all the way down because earlier today I was working on this. So we got the ball.
Hey, Heath.
Yeah.
Berryman 1985 is asking, what kind of fuses do these use?
On your schematic, you'll notice that some of them say slow blow. A slow blow fuse has a little, kind of like it's like a piece of nylon that the wire's wrapped around and allows it to kind of take a little bit more voltage, and it slowly, boom, till it breaks. The fast blow fuses are very, very, very skinny wires that will, boom, they'll just blow instantly if they're carrying more voltage than they're supposed to. So my recommendation is to always get the glass fuses, and they look like this. This is a glass fuse. This is a fast blow fuse.
Let's bring it to the light.
Oh yeah, so you can see that. That's a fast blow fuse there, Berryman. So what that does is if it carries more than, this one particularly on the fuse tells you, if this carries more than 250, no, I'm sorry.
It's going to be a 25 volt something amp.
Yeah. Oh, 10 amp. So if this carries more than 10 amps of power, like if 11 tries to go through here, it's gonna pop that little connection there, and it'll not allow you to use it anymore. Okay, so make sure all your fuses are in. Now, the very first thing on an EM is you'll notice that this has a score. The reason they call them EMs is because they're electromechanical, so they actually roll like a car's odometer does. Now, if this thing doesn't reset to 0, you got no chance of playing your game. So when you turn the game on, it should reset back to 0. So what I'm going to do is power the game on. And it went up for some reason. Okay, that's interesting. Now I'm going to push the start button here. On here. Let's make sure you have credits. If it doesn't start, put a credit on it. That's pretty important. Alright, so now we're going to push the start button. Nothing happens. Okay, so now, since I know where the start relay is, I'm going to reach in here manually. Like this. I'm going to make sure that the hold relay is on, which it is not. Now it's on. That means that the game is now getting its 30 volt power, which controls the flippers and the pop bumpers and the high power stuff. Now let's see if it'll start. Nope. It will shock you though. Alright, so now I'm going to actually manually hit the start relay by hand, and I'm going to turn the score motor by hand. Okay, so both of those reset banks went off. The score changed, but didn't go all the way down to 0. Now it went down to 0. So I believe that that's going... Did you want to see that work? Score motor. And you want to see this reset bank go off? Do it again. Yep, just like that.
One more series, please.
Start relay. Click, click. Now it's in its home position. It's ready to start.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Alright, so I'm going to put the Playfield down carefully. I notice my ball count unit is still on 0, so it still thinks that I'm gamed over. Game overed. So we're going to let this ball hit this trough switch. If it hits the trough switch and starts, you've done something good. So go on down there, ball. It did not start. Oh, guess what? We got no credits. So now, okay, the credit button doesn't work anymore. Got some work to do. A lot of the games, when they get to be on home use, some people will put still got no credits. I'm going to go ahead and manually add some credits. I'm going to turn the game off because all those holds are on there. I don't want to burn up any coils. So this is your credit wheel. Let's see if I can. Okay, so we're getting some credits on here. 6 credits should be good. Now there's a trick on Gottlieb games if you have one. When you go into the back here, there's a switch that tells it you put a credit in. You can bend that switch to where it's always closed, and you'll never have to worry about putting credits in. You'll never have to put in a extra button or do any kind of wonky wiring to it, you just bend that switch closed and you got free credits for life. So then you've got a free play game. All right, we're gonna turn it back on. I'm gonna put some score up here real quick, see if it resets. Just any old score will do. Doesn't have to be anything crazy. Okay, so we got 3 points. Let's see what happens now. Okay, we got lights. That's good. Ball is in the trough. See what happens if we push start. No love. So now we're going to try to see if the hold relay is turned on. And the hold relay is not. Now it is. Let's see if this does anything. Not doing nothing. Not doing anything, excuse me, I went to school. Alright, so we hit start. Start relay. Boom, click, click. Score's not back to 0 yet. Now it's at 0. Okay, so now we're making progress. Let's see if this ball hitting the trough starts the game. Doesn't. Let's manually kick it into the shooter lane with this shooter. And it didn't. Okay. Alright, so we've got quite a bit more work to do before this thing will start. I think that the score motor, it says I'm on ball 1, so I'm going to manually turn the score motor like this. Oh, and it kicks the ball out. You see that? So that, once the ball gets kicked out, it should energize the flippers. Oh, this is beautiful. It's working out good for the broadcast. Okay, so we're going to close the lock bar so this coin door can go down. Now what you want to do, oh, I forgot to tell you this. Make sure that none of these things are stuck closed. If any of these are stuck closed, this can happen a lot of times on old EMs. See, there's a little switch in there. Maybe you can zoom in on it a little bit. There's just 2 little metal contacts that are touching each other. And they're not touching right now, but when I push this... Now, what happens, this is very common on EMs, those will get bent together and stuck. I'm sure you can hear that buzzing. The game does not like it when it happens. So I'm just testing it to see the scores. 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. It did it. It gave me 20 points. I'm going to check these duck spinners. Yep. When you do the duck spinner, it randomly selects your bonus right here, just like so. They both work, so that's good news. Test your slingshots. Little machine gun action, that can be a switch adjustment. Yep, switch adjustment. Then we check your pops. Everything's good. That's supposed to hold down, so I need to do a lot more work on this. So now we've got that. That's ball 2 that we're on. You'll see the display right here. Each game has a different ball display of where it is. But I'm going to just go ahead and I'm going to lower this front side and we're going to play the first ball to see if it works. These pin skates really come in handy. Okay, so now we've got...
We got those from Marco's.
Yeah, we got those from Marco's. I have a lock for this door, but I'm not installing it until the game's fixed. So let's plunge the ball. Let's see what we got. These little 2-inch flippers are hard, man. I can see why they call this game Funland. It's a barrel of monkeys. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and pop that in here. Now I have to manually kick that, so there's some kind of disconnect between my ball trough and my game count. And I hear a little bit of buzzing in there, so that makes me nervous. That makes me think that something in there is clenched or closed that shouldn't be closed. I'm gonna see if I can hit one of these spinners before we shut it down. No, it's not kicking the ball out. What's that, bud?
The score hasn't changed.
Yeah, you're right.
None of the switches is scoring right now.
Yep, you're right. The only one that's working is this one. So you know what that means? This is a 1-point relay. These are 50s. There's 10s. The 10s work. So there's a problem with the 50-point relay and possibly the 100-point relay. These are 10. So those are good. So the 10s work and the 1s work, but the 50s and the 100s don't. Got any questions? And ball 5 did not give me a game over.
Chat pretty slow.
Ball 5 didn't give me a game over, so my game over has got some kind of... There's a game over relay that says, hey, guess what? Your game is done. And it's not working right now. So I've got quite a bit of more work to do on this game to get it running again. But that's what we like to do. The two main things that you're going to need to get an EM running. It's called a flex stone. This is a flexible... Do not use an emery board. If you use an emery board, you will have all kinds of trouble because they leave sand grit behind inside your switches. This is called a flex stone. It doesn't leave the sand grit behind, and I think they call it a flex stone because it's flexible, and it feels like a pumice stone. And this is a switch adjuster tool. This is your best friend right here. You can use it to you can use the switch adjuster tool to adjust your switches. You can use it to pull out fuses that are stuck on your boards, especially if you have a one with fuses up in here and they're like real tight in the holder. You just take your pry it right out. So the switch adjuster tool can be your best friend. And also when you have one of these that's stuck, you just stick it on there, whoop, give it a turn and fix it. I recommend personally getting a 45 degree and a 90 degree because I can get into more spots with that. But a lot of times people try to sell you a 90 degree on this side with a longer 90 degree on that side. You're just not going to be able to get into all the spots with that. So take my advice, get a 45 degree switch adjusting tool and a 90 degree switch adjusting tool. These are available for Marco's. You can also make one yourself out of a screwdriver, or you can just use a screwdriver, or you can use your fingers, but these are good for very, very technical, minute adjustments. So yeah, that's pretty much how to restore an EM. You just want to make sure that these can all go back to 0. If they can't, you've got a 0 position switch back there that's not working, and that's easy fix. You want to make sure your score motor turns and gets back to its home position, and you want to make sure that all your reset banks kick and do stuff when you're doing that. So, and get a schematic. You don't need a schematic because you got to know how to read it, and I don't know how to read it. I just guess on them. So
in your mind, what's the next step for?
The next step on here is, now I know that it does start the game, it does keep track of the balls, and the game over unit's not working, so I got to go through the schematic, and it'll actually tell me in the steps of the game's logic how it works. So the hundreds unit, I know that that's messed up.
Wow, you just jumped up to 15.
Oh, okay, cool. So I know that the hundreds unit is not working, so I'm going to have to try to find this black wire that comes from the 25 volt transformer, and I'm going to go over here and see what that goes to. It should be an open switch here on a brown and red wire, so I got to find a brown and red wire. If that's not open, that's the reason that the hundreds unit's not working. Then I'm going to go on over here and see what that does. Oh, and it also needs to be open there, and that goes to your score motor. So then I'm going to have to check the position of the score motor, and it's just, like I said, it's kind of tedious, but it's so worth it because these EMs, a friend of mine who will remain nameless has a game called Target Alpha, and it's a very highly sought after game. It actually, the value of it's approximately $1,000 in average condition, and his is in awesome condition. Wasn't running at all. He bought it for $400. I spent about an hour looking at the switches and making sure everything was happy, and I got it to start up. Guess what it doesn't do? It doesn't count the balls. So I got to go through the schematic, find out where the problem is. But it scores fine. All the drops go down. Target Alpha is a great fun game. It's a Gottlieb game, and if you get good with your switch adjuster tool, you can.
Hey Heath, Barryman is asking, can you get an all-new wiring harness for these from aftermarket?
Well, there's technically not a wiring harness, Barryman. These are all basically just solder joints onto switches. If you're familiar at all with computers, you know that computers use what's called binary code, like zeros, ones, zeros, ones. So this is basically like the first primitive computer. I think I know what you're talking about. If you're talking about like this, there's no way to get one of those aftermarket. You have to fix.
I'm sorry, me again.
This right here, this is the ball count unit, and it's easily labeled there, ball count unit. If this thing goes out, you're going to have to manually clean each one of these little contacts, resolder all the connections on there, take it apart. Same with the, I think you're talking about these having a wire harness. Nope, you can't do that. See, there's 2 screws that go into there, and they screw into the base, and it goes through a stack of switches. The most intense one, I think, is probably this one right here. And you'll notice on the contacts, if I can get out of the light, contact, ooh, just got hooked on somebody's shooter rod. These contacts.
It was Ted Nugent.
Ted Nugent, get out of my pocket, Ted. All right, boom. Now these are closed, 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 open. So if you look at the schematic, you'll know that that's now it's open, 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 closed. So
hey,
this.
Heath.
Yeah.
Demented Warlock, who just joined us a little while ago.
Hey, what's up, Demented Warlock?
Asks, how does one clean your contacts and with what not to use?
Oh, great. Well, I'll actually clean a contact for you right now in live action. We talked a little bit about the flex stone, right? So what you don't want to use to clean.
He might not have seen that, so
yeah, he just that's okay. Thanks for joining us. This is called a flex stone, and you want to use this, or you want to use very, 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 very fine grit sandpaper, like at least 800. Make sure it's wet, dry sandpaper. To clean a switch, you just simply go in between like this. Let the switch hold your flex stone, because if you start going at an angle, you're going to make it worse. You don't want to go at an angle. Let it hold your flex stone. So once it's holding it by itself, then you just go straight up, straight down, 2 or 3. That's all you want to do. Maybe 5. Then you want to look at the contact. Yep, that's clean. And here's another one. Let the switch do the work. It's holding it together, the pressure. 5. Same thing with this one. That one's kind of tight, so you don't want to be too rough with it. Do 3 or 4 on that one. Look if it's clean. Yep, it's clean. This is a small one. It's real tight. Go easy on that one. This one's not going to touch, so I'm going to manually, I'm either going to find a position there. That gives it pressure. Quick little jabs. And so what you don't want to use is an emery board. This looks like an emery board, but bad news. If you use an emery board, guess what's going to happen? You're going to leave little small sandy grits in between your contacts that's going to cause you to have sparking and arcing, and you're actually going to get a worse contact than what you want. So good question, Mr. Warlock. And so that's how you clean the switches. Now on your solid state games or DMD games that are newer, all this whole score motor right here has been compressed into one little small square black chip, and that's a logic chip. That goes into the board, which you're talking about board. Here's another thing that you might have referred to as a board. See what this, if you can get a good shot of this. This is your spin relay. What it does, you see there's these contacts, and then there's these little fingers. Those fingers will actually make contact with each spot when a drop target spins, and it tells it, oh, am I landing on the 6? So this is 7, 8, 9, 0, 1, 2. See how that's got stuck there? This thing needs cleaned. And oh, it's stuck there again. There we go. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0. 0 is the home position. There's a couple of those. I know for sure I need to fix this one because it's, you know, A, sluggish, and B, it is it's got bad contacts on this side.
You need to take a pause to change batteries.
Okay, we're gonna take a pause.
The camera's coming off, but I can still hear you.
Okay, cool. If you guys want to just listen to the sound of me talking about EMs, I'm going to do a little narrative.
It's going to be like less than a minute.
Okay. So now that you're in the dark, imagine that you have an EM for sale on Craigslist for $200. What you want to do is go look at it in person and see if the score reels reset. If they don't, you might have a very easy fix on your hand. Then what you want to do is consult Mr. Pinball's guide to pinball values, or go to Pinside and see how much is this game worth. If the game is worth like more than $700 or more than $800, I'd say it's a good investment to go ahead and get that, because you'll be able to put maybe like 1 hour and
You're back.
okay, we're back. Maybe you'll be able to put in 1 hour of work and have a fully working pinball machine that you can just clean the playfield, put new rubbers on, and put a new ball in there, and then you're good. You can sell that bad boy for $800, or you can just play it for a year and still sell it for $800, because unlike cars, pinball machines don't lose their values fast. So that's a good question. What's another question? Oh, but what I was saying about these banks, look at all these wires and switches. This has got turned into a board. This is what's gotten turned into a board. So when you see those little chips on your green boards, one of those little chips controls all this stuff. So now they can add more features. Like this feature right here, all this is doing is telling it, okay, I'm scoring a 1, I'm scoring a 2, I'm scoring a 3, I'm scoring a 4, I'm scoring a 5. And this wire goes all the way through this harness here, all the way through that harness here, down here, up into the back box, tells the thing, boop, go ahead and score 1. And so yeah, it's an amazing thing how pinball machines got started originally. This is a 1968, like I said, it's a wedgehead Gottlieb game called Funland, and it is fun, especially with the little 2-inch flippers. Another thing is this, these are the pop bumpers on the bottom. You want to make sure that these move freely and that they're not stuck down. If they're stuck down, it's no bueno. Check this out right here. You can probably get a better shot of this one. This is a pop bumper. See how it moves down, no problem. Nice and smooth. Now, what activates that thing is this little spoon right here. See, it looks like a plastic spoon. I don't know if you can see it or not. Might be better going in from this side angle here. It's like a little plastic spoon.
Hey, shout out to Al Anonymous.
Hey, what's up, Al Anonymous?
Al Anonymous.
Yeah, buddy. This is a call out.
Hey, let's stop for a second, because Al Anonymous, I say that on the very first day of Ghostbusters, I think he had the best stream. It looked the best in my opinion. Did y'all watch any of the first day Ghostbusters streams?
I didn't watch any of the Ghostbusters.
Yeah, Al added the replay museum in Tarpon Springs.
Oh, does he own the Ghostbusters, or he played on location?
I think it was at the replay in Tarpon Springs, the replay museum.
Nice.
Oh, sorry, I'm doing cameraman. But anyways, I just wanted to let you know that, dude. It was awesome.
Good job, Al. Thanks for checking us out, dude. Another thing to look for on EMs is making sure that these light sockets don't touch each other. If they do, you're going to get a short. You're going to have a blown fuse, and you're going to be like going through mad fuses, and you don't want to do that. Also, it's always good. These are called Jones clips. To pull those out, look at them, maybe like hit them with a wire brush or like the fine sandpaper, and then slide them back in. Make sure they're snug and secure in there. These carry all kinds of electrical information to the appropriate place. And last thing you got to do once you get all things working is rebuild your flippers. This is a primitive old school flipper, and what it does, this is an electromagnet. Excuse me. When the electromagnet energizes, it pulls in the steel rod. Boom, pulls it in like that. When that pulls in that steel rod, it then in turn turns this thing, which up top turns your flipper. And that's what makes your flipper flip. Now, if you like to catch your balls and get them under control in the cradle, you're holding your flipper down just like that. You'll notice that switch there is open. That's called an end of stroke switch. So, boom. When that thing's open, end of stroke switch. Now, the end of stroke switch tells the coil, hey, stop using the full power. Use half the power so you don't cook it. Boom, end of stroke switch. You want to make sure that those are absolutely adjusted to where they only open at the very end of the stroke, because if they're opening earlier in your stroke, you're going to be on half power here, which is a flipper only going there. That's sometimes the cause of weak flippers. So if you have weak flippers on your games, chances are you either have an end of stroke switch that's stuck closed or stuck open, because there's two varieties of those. There's normally open and normally closed. But yeah, what other questions do we have? Anything?
Any other questions, or you think this is a good?
I'm looking. No other questions right now.